Thanks for joining us today for a discussion with some of our parent self-advocate board members as they talk about some of the joys and challenges of being a parent and some of the supports they've had along the way. Ivanova is a self-advocate leader in Washington State. They work as activist advocate for At Work and University of Washington LEND program self-advocacy faculty. Ivanova is happily married and has a 5-year-old little girl and an almost 3-year-old daughter.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and if you could just give us your story, that would be great. The first one is, Ivanova, is what is your greatest joy of being a parent?
The love that my children show me and the happiness that they show me when I'm with them and playing with them. I love their laughter. I love the little personalities. I love the fact that, these little beings came out of my body and, they have my DNA. And I've found being a parent, it's been actually really healing for me. I didn't think it would be. I was adopted and orphaned for the first half years of my life, and I was in an institution. So I did not get much nourishment or love, but feels really good to be able to give that nourishment and love to my children, to my little girl.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I know you could tell us much more, but unfortunately, we've got 3 more questions. Okay,
No
so the next question is, what's been your hardest challenge being a
I think
parent?
my hardest challenge is this how other people handle my parenting, and how I deal with medical professionals when I'm dealing with my kids. It was hard when first having Alexandra, my eldest daughter. She's 6 now. When she was born, the nurses were kind of mean to me and questioned everything that I did. And when I would try to change a diaper, they made fun of me. And that made me lose confidence and made me question my parenting abilities. And it made me feel low about myself when they did stuff like that. And she was born just a couple of weeks early. And so they were freaking out over that, and I was trying to breastfeed her, and they would not let her nap at all. They wouldn't let her sleep. They kept poking and prodding her, and so when I would try to feed her, she would immediately fall asleep at the boob. And I was just like, man, she just needs to take a nap. If she takes a nap, then she'll be hungry and want to eat. But she's just so tired right now. And they kept wanting to keep her awake and make her feed. And it's like, well, she's too tired. And then they threatened me when I said, oh, just let her have a little nap for a little bit. You guys just keep poking and prodding her. She's not going to be able to eat if she can't rest. It was a hard work getting out of my body. So that was a challenge, which is, dealing with other people's expectations of me and how they think I should do things and not respecting my experiences and my ideas when in breastfeeding was really hard and they were kind of mean to me in the hospital, and so it made breastfeeding really challenging. But then when I left the hospital, I was referred to a clinic that it was a breastfeeding specialty clinic, and the people there were really nice, and they really comforted me, and they actually let me cry in the office when they were helping me breastfeed, and they made me feel a lot better about myself and made me feel more confident because they, instead of judging me, they were comforting me and telling me I was doing a good job and doing the best I can and encouraging me. And so I really need encouragement, and it's hard when people don't give me encouragement.
Thank you for sharing that really heartwarming story. So the last question is, what do you think would have helped so that wouldn't have happened to you?
I think what would have helped is if the nurses in the hospital were more respectful and like saw me as a person and saw me as just like any other mother, like just a new mother, and not like be mean. Like I think that all medical professionals need to show compassion and empathy and not judgment. I think that we really need to help medical professionals leave their judgments at the door and not put that on their patients, because that doesn't help us. So I really think that we really need to normalize parents with intellectual disabilities parenting, and you know encouraging people to be more supportive and be a natural support to us in the community, instead of a judgmental finger that's just ready to call 911. you know
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Ivanova, for sharing your story and your situation and your solutions with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Our second mother is Quiana, a mother of two young men and two grandsons who lives in Connecticut. She is a strong advocate, co-chair of the Proud Parents Leadership and Encouragement for All Parents, and she is on the board of TASP, on the leadership committee, and the advocacy committees. And the first question is, what is your greatest joy of being a parent?
That's a gift from God. So every day being a parent is my greatest joy.
Thank you. What has been your greatest challenge as a parent?
My greatest challenge as a parent is parenting is working with my children's medical provider. The first being my children are on daily medications. The prescriptions are for 30 days. The doctor every month has to call the pharmacy so I can have the prescription refilled. Though I call in time, the doctor's office doesn't always call them in right away. My boys go days without having their medication, and that is a big challenge for me without them having the medication on time. The other challenge is at the doctor's office. My children who have disabilities often need to wait a long period of time in a reception area. This is difficult for the boys and me and can become uncomfortable for them, me and others also waiting in a waiting area. That is my biggest challenge that I have being a parent.
That sounds like it's a great challenge. Have you had anyone help you with that? And if so, who?
The medical staff, no, I have not had anyone help me with that. The medical staff does do nothing to help, even though they know the boys and their challenges because we go there frequently. This is the providers, so they do not do anything to help.
What would be helpful?
I think medical staff should be aware of different disabilities and be prepared to offer accommodations such that the boys can go into an examining room upon arrival. I also schedule the appointments early before school. I don't feel the doctor respect the boys having a disability. So I feel as though that they need to make some better recommendations for people that have disabilities that also have children with their disabilities.
Great, thank you. Do you think it would be helpful if medical staff maybe also got some additional training as well?
That's a great idea. I think that will be marvelous if they get extra training when they're dealing with different disabilities, because it's not just one disability. And a lot of disabilities that we have are not just visual, they're invisible disabilities. So yeah, they need special types of training.
Great. Thank you for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Our next mother is Lindsay. She's from Ohio and a mother of two daughters, 22 and 12. She worked at the Arc of Hamilton and at the County and Disability Services. Her story is in a book called A Celebration of Family, Stories of Parents with Disabilities. She's on the executive committee of TASP, as well as the board, the Advocacy Committee, Leadership Committee, and co-chair of the Educational and Developmental Committees. Welcome, Lindsay. We're going to ask you some questions, and the first one is, what is your greatest joy of being a parent?
A daughter that is nonverbal, so I get to communicate for her and with her in different ways.
Thank you. And the next one is, what's been your greatest challenge as a parent?
I think one of the challenges that we have, and I have a picture, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but communication with my daughter. This says happy. The word says happy on top, and there's a man smiling, or it could be a girl, whatever. So we use a system called PECS. So that's what we use for Sarah. So she's happy. She hands us the picture, tells us that she's happy. So I think that's a big challenge that we've had in our family, just to know how to communicate with Sarah, because Sarah doesn't talk. So we have that communication issue, but we're working through things with school. Sarah's in school, 7th grade. So we're working through things to help her communicate with us in different ways.
So would you say the school has been helpful in with that challenge?
I think it might not just be the school, but we have a thing called wraparound. So we have our DDS, our developmental disabilities services worker, and we have a wraparound person that gathers everybody together like every other week or once a month, just to make sure that everything is good for Sarah. For example, right now we're working on Sarah getting out in the community. And recently we found out that we're going to get a stroller for Sarah in May. So that will help us get out and let Sarah be safe in the stroller, so we can get out in the community so that we don't have to stay in our house all the time. And the wraparound coordinator helped us to call children to get an appointment and things for Sarah, so we can do things outside and not be inside all the time.
Oh, that's great. So the last question is, do you have anything that you would like to share with providers on what is helpful for a parent with a disability raising a child?
I think get to know your families.
Anything that providers need to know?
Sometimes get to know your families. Talk to us. We are normal people. Yes, we might have disabilities in different kind of ways, but if you communicate with us, is the best thing to do, because you never know what we might say, and just have a conversation with us. Before you come in and say I'm big and I'm bad, and that's what I think of sometimes professionals are. They act like they know everything, but get to know our families. We all have feelings, and we're all humans as well.
Oh, that's great advice, Lindsay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. I just thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please contact the moderators of the session, and I'm willing to answer questions at any time for anybody that has them.